Hello friends, my name is Suhani Verma. Today I will be going to show the biology presentation. We will be learning more about tissues. Tissue is a group of cells that have similar structure and that function together as a unit. They come together to achieve a particular function. In cellular organization, tissues come between cells and organs, where cells come to form tissues and tissues together form an organ. The English word tissue is derived from French word tissue, meaning that something is woven. Organisms that are made up of many tissues are called multicellular organisms. The cells of tissue are joined according to their structure. For example, muscle cells come together to form a muscular tissue. The study of human and animal tissue is known as histology, when in connection with disease related to tissue is known as histopathology. A non-living material called the intercellular matrix fills the space between the cells of tissue. Animal tissues. Animals depend on plant for habitat and move from one place to another, which is known as motility, which requires a lot of energy. Thus, they are made up of living cells which come together to form living tissue which help them to move. Animals grow uniformly throughout their lifetime and have dividing tissue which help them to grow. Plant tissue. Plants can make their own food through photosynthesis without moving from place to place, so they need to stand straight. That's why plants have supportive tissue which provide them support. Plants do not grow uniformly throughout their life, so they have both dividing cells and non-dividing cells in different places. So, animals have living and dividing tissue. Plants have supportive tissue, dividing and non-dividing tissues. Now we will be learning about the types of plant tissues. There are two types of plant tissues, meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue are only present in plants. They are the dividing tissue of plants which are made up of rapidly dividing cells. They can divide and are responsible for primary and secondary growth of plant. Meristematic tissue are also called as dividing or growing tissue. Meristematic tissue are very active and have cellulose wall. Meristematic tissue lack nucleus because they do not need the storage of water and support. They are filled with dense cytoplasm. Meristematic in Greek word means meristos, which means divided. They have distinct nucleus to carry out division. Meristematic tissue, they are located at certain points where the cell needs to grow. These tissues give rise to epidermis layer, cortex, endodermis, ground tissue, vascular tissue, and permanent tissue also. The cells of these tissues are also called meristem. The cells of this tissue have similar structure. Here the endodermis, epidermis and cortex is given, and also the dermal tissue, ground tissue and vascular tissue are also given. When the plant starts to grow from a seed, the plant will be made up of meristematic tissue, but as the plant grows and mature, these tissues start changing and form different tissue and lose the ability for furthermore division. This process is called the differentiation. So, the meristem cells after differentiation they convert into root cell, sheath cell, leaf cell. Based on the location and function of the plant, meristematic tissue can be classified as apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Apical meristem. They are present at the growing tips of stem and root and increase the length of stem and root. This leads to primary growth and it is unilateral. Apical meristem are capable of dividing rapidly. Lateral meristem. Lateral meristem are also known as secondary meristem because they are responsible for secondary growth and increase the girth or width of the plant or thickness of the plant. They are present at the lateral walls of the stem. Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem are associated with the growth in land in the middle of the portion of the plant. These meristem help in the longitudinal growth. The growth at this point is called intercalary growth. They are present at the north and between the nodes, or you can say as the internodes. Permanent tissue. Permanent tissue do not go under cell division. They perform some specific function. Permanent tissue are derived from the meristematic tissue by differentiation. They are specialized tissue. They are the non-dividing tissue. They are also known as matured meristem. They have a specific shape and size. They have vacuoles depending upon the need of the cell. They can also occupy 95% of the cell. Vacuole can be depend on the need of the cell. Permanent tissue are of two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue. They are made up of only one type of cell. These cells perform similar function and have structural role. Simple permanent tissue are of three types: parenchyma, sclerenchyma, collenchyma. Simple permanent tissue are given here: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma. They are the most common and simple. Consist of relatively unspecialized cells with thin cell walls. They are living cells, usually arranged loosely, having large spaces between cells. This tissue generally stores food, thus having large vacuoles and have large cytoplasm. Parenchyma tissue are made up of parenchyma cell. Here the transverse section and longitudinal section is given here of the parenchyma tissue. Parenchyma cells are of two types: chlorenchyma and arenchyma. Chlorenchyma have chloroplast and can perform photosynthesis. They are flattened celled and attached to each other. Parenchyma have large air cavities and these cavities help them to float on water. Collenchyma cell. They have thick cell wall. They are strong and provide support. They are living cell of the plant. They provide flexibility to the plant. They are irregular and have uneven walls. They have very large intercellular space. They elongate cells and provide mechanical support. So you can understand from this picture that collenchyma have thickened corners, protoplasm and vacuole and also a cell wall. Sclerenchyma. They are dead cells. They have thick and tough cell wall made up of lignin which is super tough and strong. They cover the seed and nuts. They are present in husk of the coconut. The cells are narrow and long. Sclerenchyma have lignin, lumen, fiber. Complex permanent tissue. They are made up of more than one type of cells. All the cells coordinate to perform a common function. They are the vascular bundles. Vascular bundles. A vascular bundle is a part of the transport system in vascular plants. They transport substances in the stem. The position of the bundles change at different parts of plant. The first one is xylem. Xylem transports water and mineral as raw material from the root to other parts of plant. They move water and solute from the roots to their leaves in one direction, which is unidirectional. There are no and was between these cells and a continuous tube. They are made up of thick cell wall of lignin. Transpiration is the evaporation of water from the aerial part of the plant, mainly through the leaves, that causes a suction pressure called the transpiration pull, which transport water from the roots to the leaves. Thus, the level of water transport increases according to the rate of evaporation or transpiration happens. So, in the xylem it happens. Components of xylem are xylem vessels, xylem fibers, tracheids, and xylem parenchyma. Xylem vessels are made up of elongated dead cells and have walls containing lignin. Both xylem vessels and tracheids help in conduction of water and minerals from the soil. Xylem parenchyma help in food storage. Xylem fibers provide mechanical support. Phloem. Phloem moves glucose made in leaves by photosynthesis and amino acids to the rest of the plant. The thin cell wall is made up of cellulose. They have minerals like glucose in both directions, which is bidirectional. There are end walls between cells. Components of phloem are companion cell, sieve plate, sieve cells, and food storage cells. Phloem. The glucose is produced after photosynthesis in leaf. Then the glucose is converted into sucrose in leaves. After that, they enter phloem vessel as 2 amino acids. This process is called translocation. In xylem, xylem parenchyma are the only living cells and other are dead cells. In phloem, phloem fibers are the only dead cells and others are living cells. Thanks a lot for watching my video. Bye friends. See you next time.